All right. So today I wanted to talk about a specific app. It's only going to be Instagram for today, and maybe I will talk about other social media apps later on. Um, most people, you probably know, they have Instagram compared to any other app. Now, if you're younger than 16, it might be so that it be TikTok. But today I'm specifically going to talk about Instagram. So back in the day, I'm not going to talk specifically about how Instagram was in history and how it evolved. You can look at it online what the history is from Instagram. But I'm specifically talking about when it became a photo album and when it blew up. Okay, so back then I think it was 2011, 2012, when people were using it as a platform to share highlights, because that's basically the nutshell of Instagram. It is a highlight. They are highlights of your life, right? You have some photos, maybe on the beach or with some friends, or you being traveling somewhere, maybe the food that you've cooked. So those kinds of things you would post back then, and there will be a personal account. Now eventually advertisers catch on, especially when Facebook bought Instagram. And of course the first promise Instagram is going to be Instagram, like WhatsApp is going to be WhatsApp, is of course fails, because ultimately they buy it because they want to generate income, not only they want to have the people, right? So Instagram is an advertisement platform. It is not a personal photo page. But there are some people, even when they are not using social media like back then, they will argue like, no, I'm just only using it for a photo album. Doesn't matter. Why it doesn't matter is because there are still tabs, there are still elements available for you to go into the path of using Instagram not solely for your photo album. And you could say, well, I have my friends over there and I want to communicate with them and those kinds of stuff. It's fair, but you're creating this bubble, this people call it Phil's bubble, but it's actually your social bubble online, that is not close for or who you want to be, right? Because if you're actually doubting that you want to delete Instagram at some point and using it less, then something's off. And again, going back, Instagram is an advertisement platform. If you're still using it as a personal page, I'm just gonna be honest with you again, like, hey, it's not. There are elements, algorithms over there that makes you use not as it should. Now eventually they implemented stories, and I saw they also released reels. Like for me, I deleted Instagram halfway, or like beginning of 2019. They were making elements like close friends only circle, people that could see circle, and those kinds of stuff. They're all fun, like it's fun to see, but eventually you have to know what the intention is, right? Again, I'm gonna tell you, Instagram is an advertisement platform. And if you don't believe that, try to just log out from your account and just see what's out there. There is rarely a photo or a video, because you can also post video, that is not influencing you in a certain way. So that's why Instagram is called an influencer platform, right? The biggest one. So you have to remember that the intention is that you will get sold, not necessarily only on products, but also the way you think. There are a lot of people on there and within your social circle following those people, because that's how the recommendations comes, right? Not necessarily entirely, but a huge part of that. You get biased. Biased in the sense of like how it actually should be than how it actually is. Now, there's nothing wrong by getting biased, but if it actually harms you in such a way, then yes, there is a problem with getting biased. Again, this is a big topic, like cognitive biases and logical fallacies and those kinds of stuff, especially with social media. But let's take an example. Let's assume someone posts a story that you found very truthy, or you felt it. But of course, you have to remember there are people there on the platform that have extreme ideologies. So there's something what you should look out for. Instagram could also be called a little cult, you know, or the way of thinking, or the way you should be thinking. So, yes. And alright, falling fine. So yeah, that's what you have to remember. Now let's talk about how Instagram could benefit you, right? So I'm not gonna only talk about the cons, I'm also gonna talk about the pros, right? Good boy. If you use it as a business and you generate income and you let it managed by someone else, then Instagram is beneficial. Or you just make videos and let them post, someone else post it online. Why do you need a manager to post Instagram promotions for you when you are an influencer? Because you're still using Instagram where you do it all. If you do it all by yourself, then unless you're researching, you're still getting these elements that keeps you hooked on Instagram. So the smart influencers, they do that. They let them manage, right? Also for the other platforms, they let them manage their platform. Then this is beneficial because you don't get the hook. You only get the benefit, right? So treat it as a business without getting hooked. So that's the big pro. There could be also a pro by using it personal, right? So you use it as a direct message app. So not sure if you know, but Instagram also has a chat function which is called direct messages. It's basically just a spam inbox chat application implemented in Instagram itself. And it's kind of dark in here, right? And if you use it just to check, just to chat, then there is no real biggie, right? You're not posting anything. You're not necessarily looking over. You do have the instant gratification, which I talked about in my last video. You can look it up on my channel. But you don't necessarily be like, all right, this is controlling my life, you know? But as soon, like, I didn't talk about scrolling necessarily, because the scrolling part, yeah, that's of course how you waste the time. That's the gratification, dopamine hit part, you know. But this can also be applied to TikTok and Facebook, those kind of stuff. That's why I am not talking specifically about the scrolling now. So maybe I will do that separately on another video. So, all right. So then it is a benefit, right? Using it as a chat application. It's not the best one. Like, I rather that you use WhatsApp for this, even though WhatsApp has this group kind of chats issue and being more accessible and having more dopamine hits because of instant gratification. Instagram, chatting with your friends, like meeting up, those kind of stuff. This is actually a good point. Back in the day, apps were used to actually meet up. You know, you will post a highlight online, but usually you will have a group, just like on Facebook. You will join a Facebook group. Now they kind of become cultish, you know, but or for business only. You have a gathering. I would like meet up, like, we're gonna meet up this time, this is the event, please come, you know, those kinds of stuff, right? So these elements kind of disappeared. So well, they're still there, but the intention of doing that, it's weird if you actually make an invite nowadays on Facebook and be like, hey, I'm having a party, are you coming? Like, half of your group doesn't even have Facebook anymore, I think, because it was easier to leave, because it's boring, right? That's depends on the generation, of course, but it's kind of dull, tedious, you know. Yeah, so trying to conclude things, Instagram has pros and cons. If you're using it personally, or even when you use it as a business, but still scrolling and not actually researching, you're still hooked, and then it's a downside. You will get mental issues because of that, you know, like FOMO, or thinking you're depressed, or feeling lonely, and those kinds of stuff. And I'm not going to talk about how to get rid of Instagram right now, because I just want to talk about Instagram as a whole, and the concept, not necessarily the concept and algorithms, but how you would approach Instagram in some manners, right? So, and the pros are, of course, using it as a business and having a manager, or only using it as a chat app to meet up with your friends, right? Because if you don't have Instagram and you're like at a certain young age, you might get locked out, right? Like that's the fear. Right? It's not necessarily realistic, but there are some, you know, like especially when you're in teenage years, you know, you're developing your confidence, you know, like trying and testing certain boundaries and those kinds of stuff. So then it can become horrendous. Like, you can even get bullied by that, for that, you know. So but to be careful. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions about Instagram and how you maybe need a plan, you know, like, to get healthy with Instagram, using Instagram. So yeah, just comment on the video. That's it. All right. Have a great evening. See ya. Bye.